What's up, y'all? So we're back working on this workbench, or Mitre station, my bad. One step closer to getting it done. This is going to be the next to last video for this. It's not getting a whole lot of views, and I wasn't even going to finish it. Then I thought about it. You know what? There are some of y'all that are watching to see this thing finish up, and it ain't really fair to just, stop without, showing you how it all lines up. So thank you for coming back for this one, and we're going to work on some more assembly stuff in this one. We're going to get one of the tops put on. It's going to really start taking shape in this one. So without further ado, let's get after it. Alrighty, well, it's been a couple of days. Everything is good and dried up. I went ahead and pulled the screws out of it. Okay, I didn't pull that screw and that screw out of it, so I got to take those out. But got our pieces right here, so now we can tie these guys together. So we got 6 boards we got to put in. So we got to set them up here, make sure everything's flat and level and square and all that good kind of stuff. Gonna do the same thing as we did on these other ones. I'm gonna stick it all up here. I'm gonna put some boards in. I'm gonna kind of clamp them in place. I'll take some measurements and check everything. If everything looks good, we'll drill some holes, put some screws in it, then take it back apart, glue it up, and then screw it together, and then I don't know, probably just let it sit right here on this workbench, I guess, until it's all dried up in a couple of days, and then we'll be ready to, let's see, we'll be ready to stick our pieces on for the next section of our bench, or do the top, whichever I feel like doing next. So, I guess I'm gonna get started doing this, and I'll give you some really nifty music to listen to while I do it. All right, well, there you go. That's all screwed together. So now we're ready to put down a little wax paper, put some glue on those, pull them back out, put some glue on the joints, and screw them back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, then we'll come back when it's time to glue. All right, so there you have it. She's all screwed together. There's glue running absolutely everywhere, but I'm good with that because I want to make sure that it's glued up really good. I ain't trying to have it come back apart. But I'm fine with that. Everything fit up nice. I'm good with it. It'll all clean up good. I'll use a scraper, kind of knock off the excess. And we still got to sand it and router it and everything too. So it'll all clean up good. So I'm going to jump over on this other side and do everything you just saw me do over here. And then we come back, we'll be ready for the next phase of this bad boy. All right, so quick rundown of where we're at. You can see I got the screws pulled out of it all, and we are now ready to drill our holes to put our wood dowels in. Why do I do that? I don't know, because I think it looks cooler than just filling those holes up. And I mean, it's got to be stronger. It's still tying the 2 pieces of wood together, 3 pieces of wood, however many pieces it is. So now I've got a whole cup right over there. You see it? Right over there. A whole cup full of little 1¼ inch oak dowels that I've cut down and kind of put a chamfer on the end of so we can drive them in the hole. And you see I got my drill bit there. I've got my drill depth set with that piece of tape right there. So I'm gonna flip this thing over on its side so that I can hammer into the table instead of across it and chase this thing. And we're gonna go ahead and drill these holes and put some glue in them and drive these dudes down in there. All right, so I was gonna use this wood bit, you know, with the centering tip on it right here, and I was gonna drill that first hole, and I already don't like it because where the screw head kind of countersunk itself down in there, it kind of lets this bit wander just a little bit when it starts, and it cuts like immediately. So I'm gonna swap drill bits over to a steel, more like a steel top drill bit, and we'll get my depth reset and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so that is what we look like with them all kind of drove down in there. I just put a bunch of glue in the hole and then kind of put a bunch of glue around the end of it and kind of up on it a little bit and then drive them down. You can hear it when they get bottomed out good, so you know when they're in there good. So I'm not gonna bore you with me putting all of them in and drilling them. You just saw what it looked like for me to drill them and put them down. So what I'll do is I'll let this set up overnight, and over the weekend I'll come back and I'll drill out all the rest of the holes, and we'll drive we'll go on and get them all drove in, the whole rest of this thing, because it's a whole bunch of them. It would take quite a while for me to you know, it would be a lot of memory card would get absorbed, a lot of storage space would get absorbed throughout the process of if I were gonna video all of it. And you just saw me do it. I drill a hole, put some glue in it, I drive the thing down in there. The one thing that is cool, I use these dowels that I use, they're oak. Oak is actually very, very porous, which is why you don't use them for a cutting board, because the water can permeate it. So it's kind of cool because when I put a lot of glue down on the bottom of the hole, as I drive it down and it pressurizes that glue down in there, it will actually come up and through the pores of the oak a lot of times, and actually it almost kind of glues the whole inside of the dowel and everything together. Works pretty cool. It happened when I did it on this bench. I thought that was kind of just a neat little bonus that I got out of the deal. So I'm gonna go over and we'll get all the rest of them, we'll get them all doweled up and get them squared away. then it'll be time to come back and cut them off with the old Chinese flush cut saw that never cuts flush for me. So I'm gonna get to drilling and doweling, and then we'll be right back. All right, so finally got all of the pegs, studs, dowels, whatever you want to call them. I got them all hammered in and glued, and I should probably think a lot harder about not drilling so many, putting so many screws in this thing whenever I'm doing it, because it takes a little while. Because basically, I did it with this side up, that way the glue didn't drip everywhere, and pretty much I did one side each day, so it took 4 days to do this. Now, could you do it faster? Probably, but this is how long it took me. So now, to dress up our dowels. Now you can see these, they're looking pretty good already. So to do this, get this out of the way right quick. So to do this, I'm going to use my trusty chameleon Japanese saw. It's a Japanese saw made in Korea. Take that for what you will. So this is basically, they call this a flush cut saw. Now let me tell you what I can do with this. I can cut this off and get it pretty flush. I can also absolutely destroy the face of the material that I'm trying to cut into. I've not quite fully mastered the art of the flush cut saw. So what I've resorted to is I cut it and I try to start it kind of flush, but I kind of try to angle it out just a little bit, because I would rather it kind of angle out and leave a little bit of a stump left instead of, you know, cut into the face of my project any, because you can only sand it down so far and get stuff out of it before you just gotta have to put a little wood putty in it or just let it go. And man, I don't want to do that. So for the little stub that's left over, I got this little guy. Now this is kind of a neato little thing here. It's the first one of these I've ever owned. I'm not a big hand plane kind of guy. I got this off Wish for I think $3. I don't know, a year or so ago. I've never used it until a little while ago when I did my little test run on these two. I cut these, I left them just a little bit proud, and then I went back over with that and kind of was able to flush them out. It turned out pretty good. And I can sand over that with a little 80 grit and it should smooth out nicely. So that's the plan from here. We're going to go over and gonna somewhat flush cut with this saw, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish them out with these. I'm going to try to do all of them that way, and if it works out good, I will do them that way, and if it doesn't work out good, then, I don't know, we'll get a new plan. So, probably go on and at least cut these off of this side and kind of show you what I got going on here, and I'm not going to time lapse the entire thing, because once you've seen me do, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, once you've seen me do 12 of these, I think you can pretty much figure out what it's going to look like when I do the rest of them. So, let's get going, and wish me luck. Hopefully this comes out pretty nice. I got high hopes. Surely I can figure it out, right? Can't be that hard. Well, I will say that went a lot better than I thought it was going to go. It actually went pretty quick too. Man, they finished off really smooth. Now, I did kind of cut into the wood around it a little bit, but nothing that I can't sand out with a little 80 grit, no problem. That little elcheapowish.com thing worked out pretty good. Now, it didn't take me long to figure out, like I said, I'm not used to using a hand plane. I'm not really a hand plane guy, but you don't go across the grain. It certainly does not work as well. I mean, I know that seems like it should be automatic, but if you've never done it before, I mean, and you're just kind of just trying to do something, it'd be easy to kind of mess that deal up and do it wrong the first time, but I figured it out. But these all finished off great, so I have no problem going ahead and doing the rest of it that way. This will sand off really, really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead off camera and get the rest of them cut and finished, and we come back, we'll be ready to hit this thing with a sander, and I'm not gonna sand the inside of it. I'm just gonna sand the faces, the 4 faces of it, and kind of clean them up, pretty them up a little bit. So I'm gonna get back to cutting, and you guys just wait for a millisecond, and I'll be right back. Okie dokie, so back in the wood shop today. So I say back in the wood shop today, and for you guys it was just a millisecond, but if you'll notice in the last clip, I was wearing a hoodie and pants. Today I'm wearing shorts and short sleeves. So, real funny story, just to kind of let y'all behind the curtain just a little bit here. So, I actually started working on this project, started making that top to go on this about a year and a half ago. So that's how, wow, this has been minutes for you watching this video. I don't know what we're up to at this point. Just, you know, minutes of your life. At this point, I'm going on a year and a half working on trying to get this thing done. Now, does it take a year and a half to do it? Of course it doesn't. But, you know, life happens and life gets in the way, and it's just taking me that long to get to it, to get it done. Since that last clip that you just watched, it has been 9 weeks. That I have been moving this stupid thing around trying to get back to it. I need this thing, like I need it in my steel shop. In the last 9 weeks I have done 3 projects that I really needed to be able to put this this miter saw on the station. It would have made my life a lot easier, but you know, as we all know, life happens. That's just how it goes sometimes. I just thought that was kind of funny. I just figured I'd kind of let y'all in on that just a little bit. So basically what I had to do is I had to go back and I had to watch the last clip to see what I was doing in the last clip to know where to pick up on it today. I mean, I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't know what the last thing y'all saw me do was. So, anyhow, we got all the little stobs cut down everywhere, so now we're ready to sand over this thing and smooth it all out. Now what I'm going to do, I've got my sander over here, and it does have a little vacuum on it already, so I don't have to run my dust collection or my air purifier or whatever that stupid thing, my air handler. I don't have to run that. So we're going to start with 80 grit, and basically my goal with running over the 80 grit, I'm not trying to make this thing perfect. I'm just kind of trying to flatten it all out and get it all smoothed out, and make sure everything kind of, like if I've got some places where the wood's a little high, didn't line up quite perfect, I can get it all smoothed out and flattened out. So we'll sand it with 80, then we'll come back up with 180. Then probably, I'm not going to do much work on the inside of it. The more I've been staring at it, the more I've been kind of thinking I might put some drawers in here eventually. So probably not gonna router this front edge. I will run a router around the side of it right there, and that way, because this side will be exposed, that way it won't be sharp edges if I try to reach in and get something or something like that. So gonna start off, like I said, gonna run over it, gonna chop it down real quick with that 80 grit, and then come back over with some 180. Then we'll start looking at putting a top on this thing finally, which I'm pretty excited about. And basically we'll stick it up here. We'll measure out exactly where we want it, shoot some screw holes in it, and glue it down just like we've done every other one. I say every other one, the last couple that you've watched me do, but obviously you watch woodworking, so you saw me do it. So, and then we'll screw it down and let that glue set up. Then we're gonna come back and wood dowel it just like we did everything else, and we'll get that top finished off. So we'll get to sanding, and you can get to watching. Alright, and what was literally no time for y'all was like 2.5 hours for me. But came out really nice. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But came out really nice. Everything's smoothed out real good. Nice and flush. No edges to grab on anything here. So basically, anywhere where, the wood didn't meet up perfectly flush, or a little dowel stuck out just a shade, I went over and I cut down the whole thing with 60 grit. Came back behind that with 80 grit, then 100 grit, 150, and finally finished her all off with 220. And like I said, it came out great. Looks really, really nice. So now I am going to go ahead on all 4 corners, on the outer corners. We're going to go ahead and router this thing off with a 1/4 inch round over. Just because, as you handle these things, and when you between the edge that the joiner and planer leave on it, that's really, really sharp, and then after I sanded it, it'll sharpen up some more, and it will cut you like a knife. And I like to go ahead and do it before I put the top on, that way I can get it rounded all the way to the top. So we're gonna go ahead and hit these 4 corners. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with the insides yet, so I'm just gonna kind of hold off on that for right now. So we're gonna router this thing right quick, and then we'll start getting our top set on there and kind of figure out how we want to position it. Alrighty then, so we got it all routed and got it all blown off, and I'm super happy with how this thing is turning out. I mean, I get it, it's just a little box and all that, but you know, when you make it kind of from nothing and you see it from this, you know, this old rough cut, you know, looking wood, it's, you know, it's really satisfying to see it kind of come together, and especially the amount of time that this one has covered to get done, to get to this point. Like, we're finally ready to put this top on here, and I made this forever ago, and so it's cool to finally get to this point. So now we got our top, we got to sit this guy on here, and like I said, gonna do it the way we did the other. We're gonna sit it on here, I'll kind of measure it and get it kind of where I want. We'll get a couple quick grips and slap on it to hold it in place, and then I'm gonna shoot some screws down through it to hold it in place. We'll glue it down, shoot some screws down through it to hold it in place. That we'll come back and we'll pull the screws out after the glue dries, and we'll drive some wood dowels down into it, just like we did in the past on the sides and the other workbench set of build. No, it's not absolutely necessary to do that, but I like how it looks, and I don't know, it's kind of neat to say that, hey, there's no screws holding this thing together. It's just glue and wood. I think it's pretty cool. You might think it's dumb. That's cool. When you build your workbench, you can put screws in it. It's definitely a lot faster. So, let's sit this guy up here, see if I can even remember how it's supposed to fit. So, alright, so that would be, let's see, I think I set it up for, so that goes there, yeah, this would be the front edge of it right here. I actually like the height, that's really nice. That'll be perfect. Alright, so now we just got to measure and get her all squared up right quick. So I think I'm going to do a 1/4 inch overhang on the back and a 1/2 on the front. So let's get her slid out here and see what it looks like. Man, it does not slide as easy as I thought it would. Alright, so I'm not in the frame, but you can see my hands. So hopefully you can see where I've drawn everything out. You know, this represents obviously the corners of the bench itself. I've got the line. This represents the center line of the, oh crap, the spreaders, I guess, stretchers that go between them. I've gone over, marked everywhere where I want to put a small dowel. I've marked right here the centers of them where I can put a large dowel. So now we're just going to go through and drill all these little holes, put some screws in them. I got it all, you know, set it up where I wanted. So I'll go through and we'll drill all these holes, put some screws in them, and once I get the holes drilled, then we'll flip it up and put some glue down on everything, and then I will come back and I'll probably start like 2 screws in it. That way I can come back and I'll leave them hanging just a little bit proud. That way I can kind of find the holes, and it'll sit down in those holes to pull it back where it's supposed to be. So let's get going drilling some holes. All right, so here we go. It's been, I don't know, 2 days, and obviously the glue is all dried up good. So basically now we're gonna go around, we're gonna pull all the screws out, and for all these right down through here, we're gonna drill 3/8 holes for 3/8 dowels, which I've already got cut. I'll be using, you see I got them cut, they're like 3 inches. I'm gonna drill a hole around 2 1/2, 2 3/4, so I think 2 3/4, I believe. You see, I kind of sharpen the ends up just a little bit, help them start in the hole a little easier. I like using oak because it's comparable in color to this hickory, and it's very porous, I guess you would say, where the grain is. So that glue, when you hammer this down in there, and that glue, that hydraulic power of that glue wants to start pushing up and out of there, it actually kind of fills up the grain in the oak, and it'll kind of squirt out the top through all the little pores and everything inside it. So I kind of like it. So it kind of makes it all one solid chunk all together. Now on the 4 corners, we got these big bad boys. These are 3/4 inch oak dowels. Same deal. I like them because it pushes that glue all the way through them. Now I've got both of my drills and drill bits set up. You see I've got my depth measured marked with a piece of tape. That way when I drill in, I know where to stop. That way I don't go too far, which I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter, but I mean, I try to kind of hit it where it's close anyway. 2.5 inches puts me about 1 inch down into the base, because this top being 1.5 inches, so should be good to go. So we're gonna rip all these screws out and start drilling and gluing and hammering these dudes home. Now I'd be lying to you if I told you it didn't make me nervous every time I drill these 3/4 inch holes. I don't really know why, but it just makes me really nervous to drill them. Somehow I feel like something's gonna be wrong. Oh, I know my battery ain't dead. Oh. For the record, I have no idea if that will work or not, but if it does, cool. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It just dries up kind of down in there? Whatever, I don't see a loss in that deal. Well, here you go. You see, we got them all drove in and glued in and all that. So now you know what's next. I'm gonna take my little flush cut saw right here, and we're gonna chop them off and get ready to sand this dude smooth. So I'm gonna get to cutting. I'm gonna go ahead and cut them off, and I'm gonna use that little bitty planer that I got and smooth them all out, and then I'm gonna go in and sand the top of this guy smooth, and we'll come back when it's time to do a little routering. Oh, by the way, the glue did kind of get hard in here. It didn't fill this stuff all the way up, but it did fill it up some. I mean, looks better than it did. Should be sealed up anyway. It's a little bit wet. Well, for the most part, it's dry anyway. In the next couple of days, it'll get fully dry. So I'm gonna get to sawing, and y'all get to watching. It'll be a millisecond for y'all, but I don't know how long it'll be for me. A few minutes, I reckon. And here we are. So you can see, got them all sanded and kind of ran down with that little old hand plane and sanded over them. I don't do anything special with the sander. I've got that little palm sander, the little rigid palm sander with the dust collection on it. I just hold it really flat and just work it slowly. You know, I work these down as smooth and flush as I can with that little hand plane. And I just come back and just sand over the whole thing and hold it nice and flat. And it came out really, really nice. I am really, really happy with it. So our next move now is we're gonna router this dude off right quick and then move it over into the steel shop for the next section of assembly. Yay! All right, well there you have it. Really kind of getting down the nitty gritty of it now. So like I said, this is going to be the next to last episode of this build, the Mitre Station. For those of you that have hung in there and have been watching all the way through, I really appreciate it. For those of you that just came, I really appreciate it too. If you like the content, I do post some woodworking footage now and then. If y'all like the woodworking stuff, comment. Let me know if you like it or not. Let me know if if you want me to make some more stuff like that. I haven't got to work in my wood shop a lot lately, but I do try to get in there whenever I can, whenever I get a break. So let me know if you like it, and if you prefer to watch, I don't know, bat videos or other car content, let me know what you like. For those of you that hung in there this long, I really appreciate it. I hope you come back and watch me finish this thing up. I promise you it comes out absolutely fantastic. So we will see you in the next one.